The United States incarcerates more of its citizens than any other nation in the world. While African Americans represent 12% of drug users, they are 38% of those arrested for drug offenses. On average, blacks serve as much time in prison for a drug offense as whites do for a violent crime.
You know, we have 2.4 million Americans in prison today. Over 40% of those are African Americans. Yet African Americans are less than 14% of the national population. So if you look at those disparities, you'll see that per 100,000, there are about 380 white males in prison. But for every 100,000, there are about 2,200 plus African Americans in jail. So the disparities are very clear.
One of the reactions to the American war on drugs has been mandatory sentences. Among the millions ending up behind bars, young men who are fathers themselves. But while these dads go to prison, they are not alone in doing the time.
When he was first in prison, it was a glass, and you had to talk to him through a phone. And I hated that. Oh, my goodness. Talking through a phone and being with someone having a conversation is totally two different things. You can't hug nobody through a phone.
On a daily basis, more than 2 million children have fathers behind prison walls. And when the doors to the cells slam shut on dad, they often slam shut on the relationship between father and child.
Yeah, missing him, and then knowing that sometimes when I need like a father advice, he's not there. When like you feel sad or down about something, you can't just call him or say, hey, can I come over your house or anything like that.
Studies show that most incarcerated men were contributing income, child care, and emotional support to their sons and daughters, and nearly half were living with their children when they were arrested. When they get locked up, that support system is disrupted.
The closer you are to your family, the less likely you are to get in trouble again, and the more consistent your rehabilitation process will be by having that ongoing contact. Unfortunately, most of the prisoners take the men not only out of the home, but in some cases out of the city and out of the state, someplace else altogether different. That means it's much more difficult for children to see their fathers on a regular basis, to get that kind of reassurance that goes along with the nurturing that only a father can bring in these circumstances.
When a parent goes to prison, I think children often experience the same thing that they experience when a parent dies or there's a divorce, or anytime there's an abrupt loss of a parent. Kids go through grief and anger and all the range of emotions, and they feel abandoned, and it affects everything in their lives.
Based on U.S. corrections statistics, more than 40% of imprisoned fathers are black. A unique program called Hope House brings kids together with their dads and creates an opportunity to keep the lines of communication open.
I describe it as at first nervous, but when you get in there and when you see him and give him a hug, and you feel great, you feel relieved, and most of all, you feel happy.
Some may ask, why care about a criminal or their child if the adult was breaking the law? Program organizers point to the hope of breaking a vicious cycle that destroys families generation by generation. Critics of current policy say being smart on crime, instead of just tough on crime, includes keeping the bond between fathers and their children to help the kids choose a different path.
Like, I asked him the things that he did wrong and the things that I shouldn't do.
And for y'all kids, man, y'all keep your heads up, For all of us, we really do love y'all. We really do care about y'all, and we want y'all to be the best that you can be, and know that y'all can do better than we are, and that we do really love y'all, so we thank everybody.
Leila McDowell, Arise News, Washington, D.C.